Blood donor. In 1993, for the third time in my life, I attended a blood donor clinic. It took me 17 years to build up courage since my last experience. I particularly wanted to join the unrelated bone marrow registry. What more important thing can one do for a person than give the gift of life, blood or bone marrow? Blood donation is the second stage of qualifying. I read the pamphlet outlining requirements and filled out the very extensive questionnaire. They were cautious because of tainted blood during the AIDS epidemic. I had my finger pricked for testing before being led to a bed. A hospital auxiliary volunteer said she would be keeping an eye on me. I asked her if she would be my guardian angel. She said she hoped that wouldn't be necessary. I explained to the nurse that I had some difficulty donating in the past and that she should be aware. She said they were not busy, so she could leave me on the bed for a few extra minutes after the donation. She asked me if I was allergic to iodine. I answered, not that I know of. My vein was swabbed with iodine. A Velcro strap was placed around my arm as the nurse was called. She said, "Take a deep breath," and inserted the needle, a noticeable stab. Time dragged. I could only compare this time lag with the 5 minutes it takes to get a fluoride treatment at the dentist's office. I knew it had taken me forever the last time I donated, so I was prepared for that. The nurse came back twice and commented that everything was fine. I felt reassured. I was proud of myself for having conquered my nerves. I noticed that people who entered the hall after me were already leaving. Finally, they came and removed the needle. My donation was complete. I relaxed. After a few minutes, it was time to move to the resting bed. I got up with my volunteer at my side, walked over, and lay down with my arm flat out on a little cushion. I was told to not cross my ankles. She mentioned that they noticed how long it took me to donate. After 5 minutes, I was permitted to sit up for another 5. She opened up a moist wipe for me to clean off the iodine. In a sudden flash, I felt like lying down again. The volunteer looked at her instructions, stuck up her arm and yelled, "It's a 10," as I flopped down. A nurse in pink rushed over and asked me what the trouble was. I said I just felt like going to sleep. She put her face close to mine and said, "This is very important. Do not go to sleep." I remember thinking, that's what they told me last time. She may as well have told me to stand on my head and spit quarters. I went to sleep. Almost. Maybe. A nurse in blue appeared. They asked me to turn over onto my right side. I saw her go away and come back with a suitcase. I saw her go away and come back with a second suitcase. I do not remember them putting the blood pressure cuff on my right arm. I began to sweat intensely. Heat flared up in my chest, my neck, and my head. At one point, I looked down at my hand and saw droplets on my fingers. I mumbled to the nurse about the heat. Cold cloths appeared on my forehead and neck. I could feel the sweat on my cheeks. She kept taking my blood pressure. Finally, she got a reading. She gave me an oxygen mask from the second suitcase. After a few breaths, I started to revive. It seemed to cool me, and I began to be more aware. My coping mechanisms were wearing thin. "This is taking too long," I said. "What's taking too long?" she asked. "This entire procedure," I said. She responded, "Your blood pressure is coming up slowly. It was very, very low. You scared me." I wasn't scared. I was very peaceful. I had no energy to be scared. I couldn't have cared less. Suddenly, because of all the sweating, I turned cold. They brought me blankets. I was dying of thirst, but she wanted me to wait. She asked if I was nauseous. I wasn't. 100 questions. Any stress lately? Not that I know of. What did I have for lunch? Soup, bread, nuts, fruit. Was I healthy? As far as I know. Has this ever happened before? Yes. I thought it was just an emotional reaction. I also thought I had control of myself this time. I made it through all the preliminaries beautifully. I was so proud of myself. Was I hanging on too tightly and I suddenly let go? I don't think so. To me, it was a purely physical reaction over which I had no control. I told her that it had been suggested in the past that I don't come back. She didn't have to tell me this time. I told her. I won't ever be back. She told me that some people are simply unable to give blood. There's something about their body chemistry that will not tolerate it. I felt better knowing that it wasn't just me. Other people I know managed to do it without batting an eye. Not me. Gradually, I made it to the last station, the cookie table. I was freezing, but I was only allowed cold drinks. The nurse phoned Dave, trying not to alarm him. She said she was phoning from the blood donor clinic. He asked, "Did she pass out again?" He came to take me home, as I was unable to drive. I sat under a wool afghan with a hot water bottle, a heater in front of me, and the furnace turned up high. After about 2 hours, I climbed into a warm bath. That finally warmed me up. I was exhausted. No energy, no nerves, nothing. I slept for 12 hours. Afterthoughts. If I were in a serious accident, would I be the first to die simply because my body cannot tolerate loss of blood? Was I in a dangerous near-death situation? If the supervising nurse who regularly works blood donor clinics was scared, how serious was my situation? Am I not as healthy as I think I am? Am I not eating properly? What does it mean if you don't register blood pressure? Did the profuse sweating mean I was in shock? 2 weeks later, the Red Cross called. They follow up with donors who have a difficult time. I asked, what happened? Apparently my problem is simply low blood pressure. She asked if my doctor was aware of my condition. I previously considered low blood pressure to be a sign of good health. Sorry, folks, no more blood donations from me.